Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here today in this live AQuA discussion on navigating obstacles and celebrating successes of women in AI. My name is Dykast. I am your moderator for this event today. It is really a pleasure to have you all here, and especially our panel of representatives of various networks of excellence coming together from all across Europe, and really you, our curious audience on YouTube. Whether you're tuning in from somewhere in Europe or across the globe, we embark on this important dialogue together. So it's really an invitation for you to be curious, to ask us questions, and really please ask the chat option that you have on YouTube to get to us. Throughout our time together, we'll be delving into unique challenges and achievements experienced by exceptional women in this field of AI, aiming to really shed light on their journeys, their experiences, and maybe looking into actionable options of change. Now, so let's please, engage into this insightful conversation, and I ask our wonderful panel to come into visibility, and let's talk about greater inclusivity and diversity within the field of AI. So welcome all 5 of you. Thank you for being here, and we're going to move into a round of introductions by each one of you about who you are and why you're here today. Elisa, please go ahead.
Thanks for the invitation. My name is Elisa Ricci, and I am an associate professor at University of Trento in Italy. I'm also a senior researcher at Fondazione Bruno Kessler. Here I'm representing ELIAS, a network of excellence that focus on sustainability. And of course, artificial intelligence.
Thank you, Elisa. Wonderful. Hi, Janin. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the invitation. My name is Janin Koch. I'm a permanent researcher at INRIA Paris-Saclay in France, which is the French National Research Institute of Computer Science. And I'm representing here today HumaneAINet, which is a network of excellence of 34 universities in Europe, focusing on developing more human-centered AI from different perspectives, from the technological, social, and interactive perspective. And myself, I'm a researcher in human-computer interaction, focusing on human-AI collaboration.
Thank you, Janin. Lucia.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me at this event. I'm Lucia Vadicamo. I work as a researcher at the Institute of Information Science and Technology, which is one of the institutes of the Italian National Research Council. For whom might not be familiar, is the largest public research institution in Italy, and my institute is located in Pisa. Today, I'm also representing the AI for Media project, which is part of the Network of Excellence of Research Center in Artificial Intelligence, and is an European project that focuses on advancing core technologies in artificial intelligence to benefit the crucial sector of media. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Lucia. And Serena.
Hello, hi, I'm Serena Ivaldi. I'm a director of research in ELIAS, the same institute as Janin, but located in France, somewhere else in France, in Nancy. So I'm a researcher in robotics, and I represent the Network of Excellence EUROBIN, which is the Network of Excellence in Robotics and AI.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Shruthi. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Hi, my name is Shruthi Gowda. I'm pursuing PhD in Eindhoven University of Technology in Netherlands. And prior to this, I've also worked in industry with computer vision and machine learning technologies. Here, I'm also representing ENFIELD project, again, a European project with diverse pillars within AI to promote adoption and acceptance of AI in Europe. Yeah, definitely very thrilled to be here. I'm still in the early stage of my research career, but as much as I would like to contribute to this session, I'm also taking this as a learning opportunity from all of our panelists as well.
Wonderful. Thank you for these brief introductions. So we do see we have this wide array of seniority here, from just starting out research, like PhD level, to really highly accomplished leadership positions. And I'm super happy to talk to these wonderfully experienced women about their career paths, about your career paths, about your experiences and what has come your way, specifically as a woman in this male-dominated field of AI, and in generally technology, right? And what it means to be a woman in this field. So Elisa, I would actually love to start with you. How does this topic of being a female researcher in AI today, and everything that comes with it, whatever you say that comes with it for you, right, resonate in any way with the discussions also within your networks of excellence, like in your professional network with your colleagues also, or in general with friends as a woman, right? How is that a topic for you today?
I would say that there is a strong interest in ELIAS in the role of women. Indeed, there is a scientific interest because one of the work package of ELIAS is dedicated to the ethical and societal challenges of the use of AI and on the development of trustworthy solution for AI. Therefore, the gender dimension plays a significant role. There is also some, let's say, more structural interest in the role of women in artificial intelligence. As many of you may know, ELIAS builds upon ELIS, the European Laboratory for Learning and Intelligence System. And within ELIS, we have a strategic initiative like the PhD program, mobility programs. And one of the ideas of ELIAS is really to foster this initiative, to make this initiative even stronger in Europe. And it's very important that within ELIS, we do have women at all levels of seniority in different units in Europe, but also we have women that are participating to the PhD program. We have women that travel thanks to our mobility funding. So really, I think that within ELIAS, there is a strong emphasis into promoting women in our field.
Thank you for that. Actually, I'm curious about the others. Like, do you guys have anything like ELIAS, or how do you respond to now Elisa talking about that? Like, who would like to say something? Yeah, Lucia.
Yes, thank you. Also in iFormedia, we have a lot of opportunity of this kind. We have a AIDA program, which is a program for doctoral training, and it's open not only to PhD students, but also to researchers. And it provides really a lot of useful resources between courses and seminars. And there were also funding for visiting other university and research centers. So a lot of opportunity for cooperation and also upgrade skill and know new things.
Yeah, some more upskilling, training.
Yes. Training, yes.
Would anyone from ELIAS, Serena or Janin, would you like to add to this specific question?
Maybe I can continue. So the HumaneAI network actually contains a lot of different disciplines, and that is actually quite interesting because it draws in also a lot of opinions and a lot of women that actually work with AI, but not necessarily come out of like formal AI education, which I think brings a lot of benefit to the discussion. Beyond that, we also have a lot of we have a concept called micro and macro projects, which actually fund traveling, and through that we had PhD students, for example, who went to different partners to do studies and kind of get to know different disciplines and how they work, as well as something like a Women Hack AI hackathon, where we particularly reached out to women in computer science and data science, and kind of to promote also the visibility of their work and their capabilities, and to kind of encourage more on a more open level their work.
Shruthi or Serena? Would you like
Yeah.
to add to that? Yeah, I think we can actually go around with this one, and then we move into the next one and see also what our audience is curious about. So we're waiting for you guys also in the background to be curious and ask us questions on the live YouTube Q&A. Serena.
Yeah, so I'm representing robotics, which is probably one of the fields with the smallest percentage of women. In euROBIN, we have only 3 scientific leaders, so leaders of the partners are women, and we are all the 3 of us are actively engaged in all activities organized to promote and encourage women to do a PhD and go on with the scientific career. We participate in all the Women in Robotics, Women in Engineering social events, launches, panels, discussion of any kind. And of course, we try to hire and encourage hiring women when they are very young, so starting from when they are interns, and to follow and make them grow, follow them during their path, also when they are studying, because it's often when they have to decide if they finish university and then they can do a PhD. It's at that time that they say, okay, maybe I will not do a PhD, because most of the time they just lack confidence to do it and they need to have positive examples.
Yeah, female leaders, female examples, right? And to
in
say,
robotics, it's a disaster. But there are some companies now where there are women in leading roles like CEO or CEO, but it's really rare, still rare.
Yeah, I guess that's a bigger issue, a general issue, not just in tech, but of course, yeah, I'm curious to also dive into that part a bit later on. Shruthi, you wanted to say something earlier.
Yeah, even within the ENFIELD project, it's quite big. Like there are like around 30 consortium members involved in this, and there are like a lot of pillars, even going into the verticals like healthcare, space, etc. And now I'm into it like quite recently as well. It started 6 months ago, but I see a lot of already women representatives in various levels, in different partners with different like verticals and pillars within AI, and that's already very encouraging to me. This is something also I've seen like while studying, and as you keep studying, like, you go in schooling, you see a lot of women, and as you go forward, you see that dwindling effect of you don't see a lot of women in the room when you go into it. But here I already see there is gender inclusivity, and also already taken up as like a significant thing to hire more women. There's also calls to like get more PhD students to work with different partners to get like more exposure, more confidence as well. So that's really encouraging within these projects.
Thank you for sharing that. So you all now shared kind of the ways of upskilling, of training yourself, getting more exposure to more training, or also networking. So that's a very female thing, I think, networking and also, yeah, working together. But how do you see actually in general that this female role is growing in this tech world? And yeah, Serena, do you have maybe also from your long and broad experience, do you see what has changed over the past years? Has this been going the positive way, or where are we at right now?
I think it's going in a very much positive way. Like the percentage of female now, even at the level of university, is increasing. When I was studying engineering, we were just 5 female over 180 total students. So 5 over 180 is a small percentage. But from my point of view, I've never seen, like, I was not looking into how many women are there. I was just looking into people, like seeing potential colleagues and so on. So for me, it was never really a problem that there were no women around me. But of course, when I was finding like female professors or female leaders in my field, I was always, when I was a PhD student, and even now, I was always in awe. I said, for example, I remember quite distinctively when I was a PhD, I went to this two presentations. One from Katja Monbauer, she's professor in Karlsruhe now, And the other one was Aude Billard, that is professor in EPFL. And I was simply like amazed. I was like, oh, I will never be like that. But if they can do it, then I also want to try. So
You can do it. Yes. Anyone else can relate to that from you guys? I see you nodding and we're like, yeah. First come, first served. Now we just go open mic, so I don't have to call you out. Whoever is first, like I'm not as fast as you. Elisa.
I guess I can, I mean, my experience is very similar to the one of Serena. I mean, I also studied engineering quite a few years ago, and there were really few women. I'm much more happy now when I go and teach my deep learning class that I see that the proportion of women interested into our field is much higher. However, I think that the main problem is not perhaps at university level, but is what Serena was saying before. It's a bit later on when you decide to start a PhD, or even later after your PhD, that you have to start pursuing your career, and then maybe you want to balance your private life with your scientific career. My personal experience is actually that most of the I've lost a lot of brilliant researchers, colleagues at that time. That's really a pity, I would say. I mean, due to the fact that there are no much structural measures that help women in when they also try to start a family, and you know, give priority also to their private life. But yeah. I'm also quite optimistic. However, I mean, I've seen things that are moving in a good direction, maybe a bit slow, but things are definitely moving, I would say.
There's also the two-body problem. Like at certain stage of career, then you have to start moving around, especially when you do the PhD, the postdoc, and so on. So this is very good. I mean, you make a lot of nice experiences, and traveling and seeing other labs is really like a super rich experience. So it's good to do it. But if you have a family or a husband or a boyfriend, it makes your choices much more difficult. So I also witnessed a lot of colleagues that were very promising, and they could have been brilliant researchers, and they just abandoned because the husband couldn't move with them, or they wanted to have kids and so on. So it's always the same.
It's kind of, it sounds like a repeating circle. And Lucia, I also see you nodding. Janin.
I was thinking that probably there are several factors that influence at the different stage of our life. So when we are looking at this women that already studied and start their career, maybe as researcher or PhD, and then step out from the research, I would agree that the conflict that may arise between work and private life it may be one of the major causes, because this, especially for women that have a child, so all the childcare and the household responsibility have an impact in the choice they have for their work then. But also think that if we go back, there are still issue on early age. So before the education, at education stage, so before people start deciding which is the study path. So we see that things are improving. I think because in the last year and the 10 or also decades, there was more awareness of this problem.
Decades, right?
Decade. Yeah, it's
put it
decade.
Like the last decade.
Last decade. But still, we have issue because I saw some report, for example, from OECD, so the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and still a few years ago, when doing interview to young girls and boys, so 15 years age, there was twice as many boys as girls that plan to become scientists or researchers. So it seems that something still happen now during the education phase. So there are some stereotypes or bias that unconsciously
that priming that happens so early on, right, in education, that even goes back to kindergarten, I think, like it, or even the way we actually raise our kids, right? Serena, right to that.
Yeah, I just wanted to rebound on that.
Mhm.
So what Lucia said about the fact that we have to start at the early age, this is so true. Like I see with
Yeah.
my daughter, she's 5, and at her school there's plenty of bias. That's why in ELIAS we are doing a lot to encourage to have events where we open our events to the general public, to do schools, and so we are actively seeking out school and contacting people and organizing activities when we want to reach the general public, but also kids at a very early age. And this year, during the ELIAS event, so we will have an ELIAS Robotics Week in Nancy in November. We are going to have robotics classes open for kids from 6 to 12 as part of our outreach activities, and open to, I mean, to whoever wants to subscribe. And we will try to balance to have 50% of young female coming to these robotics classes.
I'd be really curious to hear your feedback, how that went. Like, let us know.
I'm sure it will be
whether actually those 50% came or not. And it's really right. Thank you. Shruthi, you want to say something right to that? And then I have one question. We have a few questions from the audience, and one we're kind of answering right now.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, like the other panelists mentioned, there is definitely this institutional and societal obstacles that are more towards women, right? Like because of the traditional status of homemaker and balancing and all that. But I've also felt personally that within, apart from these institutional obstacles, there's also like a battle within. Because personally, I've also fallen into this trap of imposter syndrome sometimes, where I keep questioning, am I good enough? Can I voice this opinion out? Because I also have read many statistics where it say, right, women actually evaluate themselves much lower than actually what it is, while men actually evaluate themselves much higher than what it is.
Yeah,
And I've also faced this in general. Sometimes when there is like a lot of people and like everyone's telling their opinions, I also a little bit question myself. Like I've hesitated to like make my opinion and make my stance over there. So there is still, I think, this innate, maybe this gender stereotypes or some things that's like conditioned little bit in the culture, maybe society while growing up, or maybe some of these do play a role. And you have like that fear of maybe being fear of misjudged, fear of, this internal fear that comes within. And like they were saying, maybe this also can be addressed in the early stages itself and during schooling, like giving out a voice for them to say, giving maybe at when they do achieve something, recognizing the achievements more. All this can also play a role in making us more confident, making the girls more confident as well.
Yeah, I think this is a huge topic, right? I mean, there we're talking about really systemic societal setups, the ways our cultures are coded, how we our upbringings and everything. Like it's a huge dynamic that plays in, right? So it's really complex also to answer the question what are the main reasons why girls are really underrated in this field of engineering and AI, which we've been kind of swirling around here. Janin.
Yeah, I think something we also have discussed within HumaneAI is about like how to change education, because I think a lot of things related to that is also that quite often girls get less familiar, get familiar with AI later. At a later stage. And I think the more confident they are in their ability already during school, for example, and I think it's really lovely what Serena is doing, kind of like starting early on, giving experience, saying, I can do that, see what I have already done. And so kind of giving also more encouraging women and girls basically to try out and follow that path to kind of like get more confident later on to say, no, I can do it. I think that's a big part. And I think it will be overall, when we talk about AI, we also talk about like education of AI in school, and how we actually have to change the way we teach right now to also give certain skills and also confidence, and that's both for girls and boys, to make decisions and a better understanding, to be more confident later in life.
I mean, and as we speak of AI, right, that we're jumping basically over the fact like science, tech, engineering, math, like this whole complex of, this male dominated. If we just jump right to AI, because that's what it's now like encompassing, right? So it's this huge new topic that even education doesn't really know how to tackle, honestly, right? I mean, I don't know how that's going to be tackled in the syllabi of schools. Elisa, you wanted to follow up on Janin?
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to follow up on Janin and what you are saying now. And I think we also have an opportunity because I also agree that the initiative of euROBIN that Serena was describing are amazing. They're very nice. However, we need some structural initiative. It's not just a Koch initiative that can change the thing. And now we have an opportunity because AI is everywhere. It's very pervasive. Everybody knows what is ChatGPT, and everybody is starting to think how we should change our education to accommodate for this revolution. And this is not just at university level. This is much earlier. So I think we also have an opportunity now, and we need to use it to have a sort of systematic way of restructuring education. I mean,
thank you so much for this already enriching first round here. And I would love to actually to go to the second other question that we have from YouTube. You've seen it here in our chat. And do you actually think that it is the matter of women representation or the matter of existence of the facilitating environment in workplaces and research centers that is resulting or causing this misrepresentation at the moment? Like workplaces and work environments, or the matter of women?
I think that is hard to answer. I actually could imagine it's both, and both for different reasons. I mean, the environment is probably one part, especially when you have a family, when you have kids, that plays a big role. But women representation as well. I mean, when I talk here with my female colleague, for example, in France, we have hiring committees, like who gets to become a permanent researcher. And there's definitely an aspect of when women are among the people that evaluate, that they also kind of highlight, like, for example, the female candidates, and what Shruthi said earlier about women often like not being so direct about their achievement, but as women in these committees, we have the ability to kind of also promote and actually show that they are actually quite competent to kind of fill these positions. So I think it's both a bit. One, from the personal perspective, do I see my future a comfortable life within research, and can I have a family and the private goals I want, but also in order to achieve higher ranks, I think women representation within these ranks and showing how to get there is as well very important.
And also the understanding of the qualities, right, of women in those ranks. Like there is definitely a lot of benefit to that, not only fostering talents rising up, but then also the ways the culture is growing or the organization in general is maybe run or set up. Like I personally believe there's a huge impact on that. Serena, you were noting on that.
I just wanted to rebound because Janin is also in ELIAS. So in ELIAS, when there is a hiring committee, the hiring committee is composed in a gender balanced way first, and then there are people that are nominated in this jury for the recruitment that are responsible to oversee the recruiting procedure to make sure that women are treated in a fair way, that the CV are, for example, taken into account as a whole, that maternity leaves, for example, are not, that are considered, that are not, let's say, a negative point because you see sometimes a gap in their CV, for example. And also the way that people address females sometimes can be tainted by implicit bias, even in the use of some adjectives. So there are people that are nominated to make sure that that we catch up when there is this bias, and so that there is a fair hiring process. But overall, I think there are so many components that have to be improved. It's a multi-criteria problem.
Thank you for that statement. One last round here, Lucia, on that topic.
Yes, thank you. No, I just want to follow what Serena was saying, that it's so important to have this kind of structure for hiring people when we are guaranteeing, and also Janin, no discrimination, any kind of discrimination, not only the gender. What I've seen in the last year, my problem that I've seen in my research institute is not we have this balance in the committee, but we have no application from women. That's my problem. I've been, I know, probably in the last 4 years in about 20 committee for a research grant, and I saw a maximum 3 curriculum from women. So that was also a problem that we should work even before the application, even before the hiring process, to attract more people that will send their application to us, let's say.
So what can we actually do to really foster that self-confidence or get those rates up, like for really applying? I know also from here in Switzerland, some of the institutes really are trying so hard to recruit female researchers, and it's just really, really tricky. And as soon as there,
I think
don't be biased, right? Give her a chance, but also don't hire because it's a woman and she's maybe not qualified. Like, it's really this kind of, it's so tricky, right? Shruthi.
Yeah, regarding your question, like when I also wanted to pursue PhD in AI and do higher studies, I was actually looking for some role models. Yeah, unfortunately, most of them were men. There are very few women I see in like higher positions having to handle both of their career, like family, everything, right? We see quite few women doing it all. And yeah, initially when I was studying also, I think I would have liked to have some like positive role models that would have really inspired me to, like, remove some hesitancy and go forward and see like, yeah, they're able to do it, so can I. And I think also one of the solutions can be like some kind of support system, networking system, where you have people who are like at different levels maybe. And if you have any questions like what my career trajectory will be after I study this, what will happen when I reach this place, if it's still an unknown, there is still some nervousness that sets in. But having some kind of support group or networking group where you can go ask your questions, you can get some answers, or you can get to like this, maybe some panelists, you can have these answers, can definitely help you, like, see your career trajectory more better. And maybe also it will help people like choose these paths as well.
Right, so this kind of mentorship, mentoring up, and also accompanying, like helping each other, not just going this way, right? It's really tough.
Because in the university I study right now, there are like some weeks there is like some initiatives like Women Talk, where anybody can go and talk about any kinds of, it's not just about what they're working, but if they are going through some stress, any kind of issues, they can go and talk, and there are people who can like help you out if they can, and all this. So that I find it very encouraging as well.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you all, actually, for sharing that. We don't have more questions from the audience, but I want to dive actually into the fact that we currently do have the reframing of AI research within Europe towards more human-centeredness, more an approach that we see in the AI Act represented. What will it actually benefit the inclusion of women in AI research? What do you think? From what we've seen. Yeah, Janin.
I mean, I think I can answer that. I think that there is definitely, I think, an attitude aspect that we often see, that women care a lot about like impact relations and so on. I mean, I don't want to kind of support all stereotypes, but there are certain aspects that women or girls grow up with, like caring and other aspects. And we see also that in some other research fields, like social science, human-computer interaction, and so we are cognitive science, we see also a lot of women. I do think that the merge of fields due to the change of focus to a little bit more to a more human-centered approach will necessitate more women within the research of AI, on AI, with AI, and through AI, and how to apply it in everyday life. And I think aspects like the new AI Act that actually also ask for responsibilities, trust, and aspects like that will actually, I think, bring up a lot more topics that maybe women feel more comfortable going into and saying, like, to work on these kind of problems related to AI. So I do think there's quite a potential to kind of get more women involved from the AI community as well as from other communities that actually have a lot of impact on the development of future AI that might not yet are kind of within the work field, because AI is not only one discipline. It's like applied to humans actually involves a lot of different aspects that I think will become more present through this change on attitude.
I think that's a really curious observation, and also potential right there, right? Where we see also these cross-discipline links, like how can we connect these other sciences, these other fields of expertise with AI, and we actually take the scarcity away to some degree, right? And work with that, and that will maybe automatically draw in more women into the field. What do you guys think? Anyone else?
May I jump in? Just want to follow what Janin was saying. I completely agree. And also one aspect is the fact that artificial intelligence is so pervasive with application in so many different fields that we need teams multidisciplinary from various disciplines, and this means that even people that, as Janin says, are not working on artificial intelligence can join a team that works on artificial intelligence to do things together. And so I think that this multidisciplinarity can help to enlarge the collaboration with the other researchers in different fields.
Yeah, I totally agree. Anyone else can sign that? I see you guys also nodding. Elisa.
Yes, I definitely agree for what has been said, but I wanted to say something a bit maybe less said. I think there is also something else where women excel, that is creativity. So AI Act is also bringing technical challenges. So we have to reinvent a technical solution in order to adhere to some principle. And this is where you need to be technically strong. And my experience with the career is that I collaborated with many female researchers, and I really had the possibility to appreciate their creativity, their ideas, and I think we can also contribute as women in this direction. That is a bit more technical, if you want, art discipline, but I think we can also make the difference there.
That's a superpower. That's the superpower we have, I think, also that creativity aspect and connecting dots and being fast with it also, right? Right there. Anyone else regarding this? Serena, yeah.
I think increasing the number of females that are skilled in AI, robotics, and all this related field will be very beneficial to save our planet. I'm thinking like saying something very big, but I think in general, maybe this is another bias that I have, but I see women that are like willing to do something like, radical and change and improve lives, and so I think there is more strength in women to lead the research to fight these challenges like climate change, water overpopulation, space exploration, whatever. I think we should have more women because they are more inclined to take challenges where you benefit humanity. I don't know, you want to care for humans and save lives and so on.
is that since you're saying another bias right there, is that something you guys can agree on, or is that like what does this make so female? It's a grand question, right? I mean, why don't men do that? I mean, of course we have an answer to that in most cases, like the whole societal set up, the history of our world and everything, and every country on its own then, of course. But what is it actually? I see so much potential now in these next few years for women to rise up, specifically about everything that we just talked about.
I think it was Janin that mentioned that when we are young, they teach us to care for others. So this is caring, but at the next level.
Mm-hmm. Caring, but at the next level. I love that.
I think, so yeah, coming back to this, probably a bias, but I mean, I think a lot of girls are better at, for example, I wouldn't say that women are more empathetic. I think I have a problem with this women are, men are in general.
Yeah.
But I do think there's an aspect of caring. There's an aspect of trying to understand, being there for other people. And it's like, I think there's a certain attitude to that. And as Serena said, like this on a larger scale, it's like probably relates to aspects like caring for society, caring for climate, caring for impact. And I think that is what also draws a lot of girls to, for example, humanities. Well, I think AI, computer science is often still seen as, I do something for the sake, I'm doing something, and not so much what the impact is. And then we're coming back to, I think Shruthi or Lucia said before that a lot of girls, when they're early, do not think about going necessarily to academia and research, but I think it's also the application fields and what you can actually do with it and the impact it can have is maybe also not as clear, because it is, yes, we produce system tools, whatever, but it's like maybe highlighting also the impact we can have with it and on a larger scale might actually become with that more attractive also to women.
Yeah. It just seems more complex to grasp, right? To what it actually is. So actually making that more visible and understandable might be really a way of getting there. Thank you for sharing that. Dear audience, please give us some more food. We would love to hear from you. If you have other questions for excellent panelists here. Other than that, I would love to hear what actually drives you guys, what drives your personal motivation in your research career. What is really the driver forward? What is it? Lucia or anyone?
May I? Yes, sure.
Yeah, you were taking a deep sigh and breath, and I just she wants to say something.
I think that what drives me the most is also the primary challenge that we have as a researcher, that is this continuous studying, thinking, try to uncover some new theory, new approach, maybe be successful to address some unanswered question, or maybe raise some new question to be addressed by other researcher, and in general to push the boundary of what we know. And I think that this aspect makes so exciting, this work. It's also our main challenge because we have to succeed always. But it's also very exciting and motivating.
Shruthi, go ahead.
Yes, I am really excited to be a researcher in this field. It's like now become very pervasive, as people are mentioning as well. What I enjoy is like the flexibility. Like you can afford to be curious, try out things, have a look for yourself. And even if you fail, that's okay, because you have still learned something along the way. And that I think is like really good freedom to have, where you want to really try something, know something, but you can go ahead and do it without the fear of like it not being able to work, or it's not gonna become something. But that freedom is something I really enjoy in my research career as well. So that is something that has driven me, motivated me as well, and I intend to continue my research journey, hopefully keeping this motivation, passion intact. Yes.
Thank you. Elisa, yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah. Of course, I agree with the motivation of Lucia and Shruthi. I'm also aligned with that, but I wanted to say that something that really drives me now, maybe not before, but now it's the people. So I like a lot the people that I interact with at different stage of career, you know, colleagues, even older colleagues that have more experience and that can inspire you, but also the energy of the young people. This is perhaps the thing that drives me more these days. I'm really excited by the success of the PhD student in my research group, by young students at master level that have so much energy and they are in love with
so many questions, right?
So this is the energy of the people is probably the thing that is more exciting for me now.
I mean, we are humans. We thrive. We thrive with people. We thrive with energies. So it's really, it's crucial, right? Thank you for sharing that also. I'm not going to go round. You guys, just if you feel like sharing something, go ahead. But since we're on that, where have you guys experienced like challenges or obstacles that you had to face, and you were like, okay, this was such a tricky point in my career path, and I almost just dropped it. I just dropped out, and it was like, was that something that you had to experience in your path? Since we've been speaking about kind of excellence, excelling, and then not coming back, were there points in your own careers where you questioned yourself? Yeah, Shruthi.
Yeah, I think so. I'm originally from India. So when I wanted to pursue my higher studies, when I wanted to do my master's a few years ago, that was still like a bit of an unknown. When I did apply and I got like, you know, I could go to European University to do masters. It is still something like, I think in my local circle, maybe it was still like, what will happen? What is the trajectory after that? Or what are the different factors involved in moving from a whole country, going to a new place and starting this whole thing? And
big decision.
Yeah, that was a little bit, that is when probably I was wishing there was like a bit of a more support system, maybe like maybe a mentorship or something where I could actually get all the answers. I had a lot of queries and doubts that time. But that time it was just like I was good at science and math, and I was like, I want to do something in technology, and I was driven, so I went for it. I took the decision. But yeah, that time I was like, there was definitely some like doubts and queries, like what's gonna happen later? Can I do this? Can I move over there and like, you know, start this? And when I did come here, I could see a lot of people from different countries coming here and like trying to learn new things, trying to form a career, and that was really inspiring. So even from my peers and my friends and like fellow students, I was like really inspired, like how so many people like me are coming and like making a path for themselves. Yeah.
So also exposing yourself is one
Yes.
thing right there that actually helped you.
Yes.
From it. Anyone else struggles, Ricci?
Thank you. Probably the only moment when I was thinking to step out was just after the PhD, but for economical reasons. Like I was looking at the situation with a temporary contract and maybe the need of buy a house or do some other expenses, and just wondering it's affordable to me to maybe have this kind of temporary contract for many years. Then I think this kind of problem may affect many postdoc and PhD student, our researcher in the early
so the pay
career part.
Being low in the beginning, right? You really have to struggle. I have a couple of friends
not
that
only
are considering.
Not only the pay begin low, but the kind of contract, the precarious situation. That's probably something that is discouraging at some point, but it may be not the same for everyone.
Right. No, but there's more of actually a trend to more uncertainty in contracts or year by year employments, like not even at universities or for specific grants, but in general, like that it's shifting, right? So that uncertainty is actually growing. Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hardest part for my career was the maternity. And so definitely it was under COVID, so double effort. And so, I mean, of course, I mean, at least for me, that was an important part of my private life, so I wouldn't give up for sure. However, I think it's really important that there are measures to compensate for delay in career that are related to maternity leave. This is physiological, and so need to be accounted in a career of professor or a researcher in general, because it is true that physiologically is a slowdown of your career. They should be measured. There are measures. I'm not sure it's enough, but this is definitely something that I guess it's of interest for many of us.
I think there you're touching on a really crucial point that we didn't actually pre-prepare on, but that parenting, motherhood, this big topic, right? That takes so much of us in the first few months and years. That how do you actually combine that? That's another whole AQuA panel just on that topic, science and yeah, professional and personal life there. But yeah, it's really tricky. I'm a mom too. But I wouldn't want it any other way. Like, yeah, we have to make it work. And it's really trying to figure out how. Anyone else would like to add something to those that question? Other than that, we don't have anything from our audience because I think they're enjoying our discussion, which is also great. I really love where it's going. Do you have, as we talked about the career paths, we talked about the different ways how women might be empowered, what might be the reason why girls or female researchers are not popping up as frequently in the studies and also in this field of AI at the moment. Like, how can we actually encourage women in general to be more curious about this topic? We also talked about that a bit earlier, but what can we actually, coming kind of to a closing for our talk for this short hour, see why it's actually a huge, exciting potential for the future for women in AI, as we touched on earlier. And how can we collectively work towards realizing it? What are your ideas? What are your suggestions? Not just like, I don't know, something new that we might want to give our audience or anyone else watching this later, or advice to a friend that, for example, that is thinking of doing something like that. What are your closing suggestions for this potential? Janin, go ahead.
I can start. I think as we talked before, it's very there are very different aspects you have to look for. I think one part is education, giving girls and like future women more confidence in being able to also understand work with AI systems. And I think that's a general aspect, but it probably will be very important also for girls. I think in later careers, kind of having, I think, more mentoring, kind of like role models, talking more about research during university. I think it really depends where you studied. You sometimes have not really even touched research or research topics while you were studying. So that really depends on countries and kind of promoting that a bit. But I think what we just came up in the end is quite important also to think about universities, research centers as institutions, also looking more into how can we support family feasibility. It becomes a bigger and bigger issue. It depends on the country where you live, but childcare is not always available and all these kind of things. So and some companies already start moving into having their own childcare. Some universities can afford that or not, but maybe this kind of idea of this is an important aspect. We have to start trying at least to help women to kind of combine family and research in the long term, because it's not only for the women who have kids, but also who want kids, and kind of like
not
the
shying
environment.
away from that, right? Just because of that, I'm not gonna go.
So I think there's like throughout the whole basically educational life cycle, from the very early on to actually people doing academia and thinking about if they should go to industry or not. I think there are different things we can try to help with. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Janin. Yeah. Anyone else would like to give a yeah, Shruthi, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot even before, but I still believe at the grassroots level, I think that change should start. Even from the beginning, like fundamentally, even like squash any kind of gender stereotypes, don't decide a path already, like men are good at this, women are good at this kind of path. Keep it more open, and like have that flexibility, and even from like instill confidence. Make people like girls or boys like voice out their opinion, even if it's wrong, even if it's right, just like, they have a stage where they can do it with confidence. I think instilling confidence, I think, is the biggest, what we can do, because I really believe like confident women, if we set our minds to something, we definitely will go and achieve it. And I think if we start this at the grassroots level, I think we can see really good results.
Thank you for sharing that. Please add on, Serena. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, there is also something that we should do is like to improve the valorization, to give more value to the science and technology education at large. Because at least in France, I mean, in France, mathematics is very valuable in many things, but the amount of hours of science and technology, math, STEM in general is decreasing. It's hard sometimes to find teachers for these topics. And so, I mean, it's the entire circle of jobs and the circling jobs, education, researchers, and jobs of this kind. I mean, it's a full circle of problems. It has to be reevaluated. And sometimes when I see, when I talk to my students, they prefer to take, even those that are very good they could be good engineers, they prefer to go and do finance or other stuff, just because they say, okay, it's easier and I will get more money, and it's more valuable. I mean, it has a better value for society.
Financial drive.
So when I talk with my students, basically I'm a failure for them because for most of them they say, oh, why are you doing research? You're not paid, so you're not valued in the pyramid of what they believe is the pyramid of society. So this is something that has to be worked at a higher level. So like at political level, it has to be evident that there is a role. I mean, I honestly thought that after COVID, after the vaccination and everything, these jobs in science would have had more value for society, but apparently it was not enough.
Thank you for sharing that. Serena, Lucia.
Yes, no, just thinking that I completely agree, of course, that we should change and improve things in education, global aspect. But I'm thinking that we also have to work on local level, even starting from our own family. Yeah. So with the children that we have, and try to, so my suggestion for, it's not only for the girls, but also for their parents, try to encourage them to be curious, to try as many as different experience as possible. There are many activities that we also discussed today in the school, laboratory, museum, so many different activities that they can try, and so that we are sure that they will decide what they want to study or do when they grow up, based on their preference and not maybe on unconscious bias or stereotype connected to the different field. And I think it's really important to start working from our friends, our son, our children, and things like this.
Right. Actually, this is a fundamental movement, right? Fundamental, yeah, fundamental task as parents to actually have curious children, and as a society as a whole, to encourage that curiosity throughout, and being brave, right? Being brave to do something and go for it. Even though it might be biased, or we're maybe told it is, or we see it around us, and everyone has his or her own imagination, own view of the world. So it's really just you coming in your way in certain ways. But yeah, it's an exciting time that we're in, and especially as a woman in this field of technology and AI. So thank you guys so much as we actually come to a closing of this super exciting talk. I enjoyed it very, very much, talking to you all five on this topic. And yeah, thank you, dear audience, everyone on YouTube. I currently don't have any idea how many viewers we had, but doesn't matter. Thank you so much. We appreciate your presence. We love to also hear more of you in the future. Maybe you want to scroll through the playlist that we have, other Clio AQuA events, like All Questions Answered, and there's going to be many more. And of course, as NoEs, as networks of excellence, we do have, or you guys do have, some sort of leverage, some sort of potential actually to dive also into these activities that we've been talking about in the future. And I'm curious to see where it's taking us in the long run. It's going to be, exciting for sure on all levels. Let's continue to support each other. I think that's one of my biggest takeaways. Women supporting women, understanding of the roles, the difficulties, but also the potentials, the exciting things to come. And I'm really thankful that you all had the time for us today in this digital realm. So thank you so much for starting this conversation. And I hope we're going to see a better Europe in the next few years, a different world of tech. And hopefully speak to you at some point again. Thank you so much for your presence. And dear audience, of course, thank you so much for being here as well. And if you held watching us, you were watching us till the end, thank you for staying, and see you around. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.